Hey, what's up guys? Radku here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today is going to be some ban list predictions. Now, the ban list is going to hit a lot of decks, and I foresee like a ton of hits to some of the top decks right now, and I really hope that nothing too bad turns out, but without further ado, let's jump right into it. So most of this is going to be based off of SEMA's most recent tier list for the deck, so don't be offended if I leave one out. I'm going to skip the everything else category because they're definitely not going to get hit, but I will start out with Rogue. So, first deck is Sky Strikers. This deck is seeing a lot of play now. Like, it's really good, and it's able to get around a lot of decks because of Mystic Mine. But the thing is that Sky Strikers are probably not going to get hit by the ban list, but rather they're going to probably get engaged back to 1 or a multi-roll to 2. Because the thing is that they've already released Widow Anchor back to 3 when it was semi-limited recently. So I really think that bringing Engage back to 1 is really going to help the deck, and it's going to start seeing a lot more play because really that deck just can't be stopped, and everybody likes it. So I really think from a product standpoint, Konami isn't going to risk hitting any cards for no reason, but rather they're going to release some cards from the archetype from the ban list. Next is Shaddolls. Shaddolls is a very solid rogue strategy, being able to set up Winda and really having some of the most busted fusion cards in the game. But the thing is that the only way Shaddolls is going to get hit is indirectly through Dogmatica. Because the thing is, Dogmatica has been abusing the Shaddol engine by milling Apollonia to the grave to search Schism to abuse the Shaddol Winda. So the only way I see Shaddol getting hit at all is if they either ban Winda, which is unlikely, ban Apollonia, which is also unlikely, or ban Shaddol Schism, which is still unlikely. I really don't think that Konami would be best the Shaddol strategy, because Shaddolls are just a small engine that Dogmatica has, and it really wouldn't do much to the deck if they nerfed that. So then there's Phantom Knights, PK Fire, and Raid Raptor Phantom Knights. So all these decks just aren't seeing a ton of play right now. People are experimenting right now, and that deck is really good, but right now it's just not seeing as much play, and really it's just being experimented with. I really hope that this deck becomes tier 2, and I don't see the... I really don't see the deck being like the top tier deck, but I definitely see it getting better, and I really don't think there's any reason to hit the deck on the next ban list. Next is Adamantimators. This deck already got hit, so there's no reason to cover it. It's just a really good deck now, but it's just kind of just sitting there. No one's really playing it because it got nerfed, and people tried. Now it's just a glass cannon. So, yeah. Then there's Subterrors. None of these next spots are actually going to get hit. Subterrors doesn't really have any hits on the ban list to release, so really there's nothing about Subterror that needs to get hit. Subterror just is a really good control strategy, and I really do think that it's one of the best decks, but I just don't see it getting hit because it's not seeing a ton of play right now. These next two I'm going to rope together, Altergeist and Salamangreat. These two are really good decks and are seeing a ton of win rates, but the thing is that the decks just aren't able to keep up with the top tier decks, and that's why they're getting etched out and not seeing as much play, just because they're not as good as the other decks, and I don't see any of them getting hit. Altergeist and Salamangreat. Altergeist doesn't really have a ton of hits on the ban list right now, and Salamangreat might get a few cards released, but I just don't see it happening. Maybe we could get Mirage Stalio back to 1, which would be really cool. Like, Mirage Stalio back to 1 would really help the deck out, but I just don't see a ton of other stuff happening with the deck right now. Then going to tier 2, we have Dinos. Now, Dinos is actually kind of strange because Dinos have abused and are a really good deck in general, but the only hit I can see, there are 2 hits that I could see. I can either see them hitting Miscellaneousaurus or Animadorn Archosaurus, but I really see them limiting Miscellaneousaurus to 1, just so that the strategy is playable but not abusable. Because the thing is, if they ban Animador and Archosaur, they're not going to make a ton of money off of that. And you have to think of it from a money standpoint by Konami. Because really, they're not going to risk losing a ton of money just to get rid of a tier 2 deck. And I really don't see anything happening with there. So, Dinos, not really probably going to get hit, but probably Miscellaneousaurus because of how cheap it is now. Prank Kids. Now, Prank Kids is a really, really cool deck, and I really, really like the strategy, but the thing is that it's too new. The deck isn't new in itself, but the competitive play is new. It's only been starting to see play after that Meow Meow was released. So now, like, it's really good. It's seeing play, but it's just too new on the competitive standpoint, and that's why I don't think it's gonna get hit at all. There's Eldritch. Now, Eldritch is a really adaptable deck, and I really, really like the strategy. But there is a lot of things that could get hit by Eldritch. So Eldritch just isn't seeing as much play anymore, and didn't get any direct hits on the ban list. And the thing is that people were playing like Adamancipator, and Adamancipator needed to get hit. Like, it was required for it to get hit. And there was only indirect hits with Eldritch through Jet Synchron, and I really don't think they're going to ban Hulk, but like, just Eldritch would probably get, like, some hits could be Golden Lord to 2, which wouldn't hinder the deck a ton, but it still would. There could be the Golden Castle, that one, the 2, maybe 1, because I could see that nerfing the deck a lot because it really just hinders the consistency of it. So then there's Dogmatica. Now, this is a really good deck, but the thing is, I think it's too splashable. Konami won't really hit a ton of engines, but the fact is that Dogmatica can operate as its own deck as well as an engine, which makes it dangerous. The thing is that I think they're going to hit Ecclesia to 1, or maybe even Nadir Servant to 1, because that would be the most crippling for their consistency. Because if you see a Nadir Servant or you see an Ecclesia turn 1, you basically have full combo, which means that that nerfing Dogmatica would hinder the strategy a lot. Now, the thing is that Dogmatica is fairly new, being released, I think, in Eternity Code. It might have been released in a previous set, but I'm not sure. So, the thing is that I just don't see them hitting it because of how new it is, even though hitting it would be smart. So, people have had time to play with it, had time to experiment, but I just don't think they're going to hit it because of how new it is. So going into the tier 1 category, this is the most tier 1 decks I've ever seen. Like, not joking, these decks are all really broken. Now, Zodiac. Zodiac is kind of a touchy topic because they're never going to ban AA Zeus until the next ban list, at least. Because the thing is that Zeus is too new. It's their new cash cow, and everybody's buying up Zeus. So no one's going to take the risk to ban Zeus or even limit it because the strategy is just too new. Now, the thing is that people might say that limiting Zeus isn't going to do anything, but when I've been playing against Zodiac, and even when I'm playing Zodiac, summoning another Zeus is actually really helpful in the deck. And I think limiting Zeus would be the best option to nerf Zodiac, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So, yeah, Zodiac probably not going to get hit at all. If anything, I'd see Thoroughblade getting limited, but even then, it's one of Konami's like most profitable cards from the deck, and it's just not going to happen. There's Dragon Link. This hurts because I really, really like the rocket strategy, and any hit to Dragon Link is almost always going to be a hit to rockets. So the difference is that rockets are heavily reliant on summoning out the rocket monsters instead of going into link plays with your dragon monsters. And so the thing is that if the best option for them would be banning Striker Dragon or banning Guard Dragon LP. If they ban Striker Dragon, they're gonna get rid of one of the best starters in the deck, and if they ban Guard Dragon LP, it's gonna nerf the recovery of the deck. Now, I just really, really don't want them to do this, but I know it's going to happen. But one thing they could do is limiting chaos space, because chaos space is what really ups the consistency of the deck, because the deck has like no bricks whatsoever, and they're able to play a 60 card deck without hindering the deck because they have that many starter cards, and that's really dangerous. So I think the best option would be for Konami to either ban Striker Dragon or Guard Dragon LP. Like, it hurts to say, and I love the rocket strategy so much, but that would be the best option to rein in such an overpowered deck. Then there's Virtual World. I'm just going to ignore Virtual World because it's not going to get hit. I can guarantee it. They're not going to get rid of True King of All Calamities because they're just not going to. The strategy is too new, and VFD has been in the format for so long that they just aren't going to risk it. They wouldn't waste their time banning VFD right now because of how new Virtual World is, but really there's just no way it's gonna get hit. And finally, there's Infernoble Knights. Now, this deck is so powerful. Like, the biggest, like, the most consistent deck in the format, like, maybe next to Dragon Link. Like, those decks have always been neck and neck ever since Infernoble Knights have been released. And really, the biggest hit I can see is getting rid of Smoke Grenade. But the thing is that doesn't hinder the strategy at all. So, if you leave Smoke Grenade in the format, it leaves degenerate hand loops. If you take Smoke Grenade out, Infernoble Knight sets up a board still almost as good as Dragon Link, which is to say that we don't really have a ton of options with Infernoble Knights other than banning like Emperor Charles or even some of their main deck monsters, because I'm not as familiar with the deck, so I'm not 100% sure what the deck needs to get hit other than like maybe Isolde or Smoke Grenade, but I just don't see Isolde happening. And I could see Smoke Grenade happening because of how old the card is, and really it would make sense, but I just don't know right now because I'm not as familiar with Infernoble Knight. And coming in the tier 0 spot, coronavirus. I hope they ban it. Corona's gonna get banned. Be gone. So, yeah, that's going to be it for the analysis video. Those were the best ways I thought that we could rein in some of the more powerful decks of the format and how we could help some of the weaker decks out. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know what you thought, and let me know if there's anything you would change about this list. Is there any decks that I missed, and is there anything that you think certain decks should hit? And really tell me down in the comments what you think should happen to Infernoble Knights. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and I will see you in the next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace, guys. Oh my gosh, guys, I completely forgot. The only reason I didn't mention it was because there weren't any Pendulum archetypes on the ban list or on the tier list. But really, I think they should put Electromite back to 1, because Electromite is really, really good, and it's really going to help all Pendulum archetypes because of how nerfed they are now with MR5 and everything. But the thing is that there are two cards, including not including Electromite. I think they should bring Astrograph Sorcerer to 1, and then I think that they should bring Colossus back to 1, just so that we have a deck that can use Colossus, and so that Pendulums won't be so nerfed. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.